everybody. Welcome to episode number 1 of the Esports Masters podcast. Here, we're going to be talking about basically everything esports and everything that you can imagine that goes along with that, from the players, the people who make it happen, the tournament organizers, the managers, everything across the board to really educate not only just people in general in the community itself, but overall just everything. And each time that we have one of these episodes, and each week, we should be having just everybody we can think of, everybody across the board. And what I'm excited to about today with episode number 1, I think it's a great place to start, are the people who make these teams run efficiently and do everything that they kind of need to and keep everybody on track. The managers. We eventually will go over, again, tournament organizers, the players, everything that takes everything in esports, break it down, tell you how it's done. And if you guys want to get involved in those types of things, in those types of communities, or create your own, this will give you those tools, the abilities, what to expect from that, and everything across the board. So I'm excited with that. And so I do have some great people alongside with me. We are going to be having the manager day. I have Garzar, Mandoe, and Eco just eagerly waiting to come on in and say hi. So without further ado, we're going to go ahead and change over. We have some wonderful guys here in the chat with me here now. It's going to be great. Again, we have Garzar, Mandoe, and Eco here with me today, and we're going to be going over what they do, what to expect, and everything across the board. So guys, welcome.
Having me.
Hello, everyone.
Hello.
All right, guys. So you guys are all some of the best managers. I know there was a lovely little poll that has come through recently. You guys, at least either in the past or currently, have won some awards for being some of the best managers. So I kind of want to go over that and share with everybody what you guys do, what makes you, more specifically, what makes you special, but what can people do to be either better or to do these types of roles, and just kind of give a general insight on what you guys do.
Yeah.
Got it. We start with some introductions before, I'm guessing.
Yeah, by all means. Guys, give yourself your names, what you guys do, who you're with, and who you manage.
All right. I'll go first, I guess. I'm Garzar. I've been managing for about 3 years. Most notably when I directed Team Elevate for most of 2022. Right now, don't really have an important role in anything really. I retired from management earlier this year, but I do own and and I operate and make the decision making for Team Hammers within Critical Ops right now, alongside alongside Bond. So yeah, that's what I've been doing. Anyone else want to go?
Okay. I guess I will go. Okay, so my name is Mandoe. I've been a professional mobile esports manager for 2023 will be my 8th year professionally managing. Yeah, well, what I've been doing, not the same as Garzar. Mostly I have managed a lot of pro clans, naming like Elevate, Exclusive, S2G, and so on. Currently I'm not in any team, more busy with projects behind the scene in Critical Ops, just chilling, just figuring out what I want to do. And yeah, that's me.
Right. I'll go next then. I'm EcoDynasty. I've been a professional manager for, I believe, 3 years as well. I'm currently managing Hammers North America, but in the past I've managed Elevate, Reign, etc., etc. And I also do community events, tournaments, etc. in the scene.
Awesome, guys. That's a lot of experience under the belt, and with all that being said, you guys really keep all those teams on track, and really just across the board, making sure the team is doing what they're supposed to. So can you guys give a bit of an insight to everybody on what kind of the daily or weekly, what you guys do for the team and what you do to kind of keep them on track.
I'll let Garzar kick this one off.
All right. Well, it's a great question. For me, I suppose it really depends on where you are in your management career, experience-wise. What I did, for example, in Elevate, initially as a manager, I was in the community management direction. So I handled everything community related. I did community events. And then that kind of really helped me translate towards directing Elevate, because my main vision with Elevate was to expand it, especially in COPS. I made a content creator program where various content creators throughout the scene would partner with Elevate and, of course, thus advertise us. We did a YouTube channel, which I haven't seen many teams do. So for me, I think it's just important to analyze what your team needs, or your brand or org or whoever you're working for, and based on that, just be prepared to deliver with whatever they need, be it community management, directing the whole team, social media management. Just know your role and do it well. Don't shy away from big roles. I'd say that's
exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. So what it personally is for me, I like to be involved on as much parts of the team as possible. So I like to do overall team management. I like to do help on branding, expanding. I like to motivate the guys, of course. Talk with the team. I'm very communicative. What else do? I really help a lot with branding. I think if we look at G9, I helped with G9. I helped growing them. I helped with rebranding them, or at least making the new logo. The logo has been made by me, of course. I think overall, I just want to be involved with as much parts of the clans, with as much part of the clans as possible.
Yeah, mostly. Overall, a manager has to be a jack of all trades. We have to be able to manage Discord, manage the team, manage the esports side, manage the branding side. And for me personally, I'm a lot of a team manager. I'm very personalized with the team and helping them to get better, to practice on time, to be active, to play tournaments, to be there on time, to not mess up and make stupid mistakes. For example, when recording or doing anti-cheat. I'm also big on branding and in Discord servers. Very underestimated, for example. I helped grow them to the European scene and made a lot of the announcements on that team. So overall, I think it's really important to be able to master all aspects when managing a team.
Yeah, there's a lot that goes into it. You have to make sure that everyone's where they need to be. Everybody is training like they're supposed to. And like Mandoe saying, make sure it looks good too. You got to make sure everybody's logos are corresponding with each other. I'm assuming, keep everything very consistent. And if it's not, make sure it gets changed that way. Cause it's, as a team, the players are individual people, right? But as a whole, they are whatever that team may be. So as example, G9 or Elevate or Rain, they have to be, that is the part of them at this point. And so they can make sure it's all good. So I really like that, you guys really just make sure, because everything gets forgotten sometimes. It's a lot of things to keep together for the players on top of having time to play and making sure that they're on top of what they need to do in their role. And so you guys can make sure just, hey, if you forgot it, hey, like say if Mandoe designs a new logo, hey, you forgot to change your logo. There's 1 out of 4, or 4 or 5 that may have forgotten.
Yeah. It would make it look bad also if one forgot. You know.
Yeah,
so you guys have to value managers. Managers are valuable. Stop laughing at us, yeah?
We do not get
It's
enough
facts. It's facts. Nah, that's totally true. We do not get enough appreciation.
Exactly. Yeah, I think that's where it's great, and where I wanted to start, with you guys as episode 1 is where, you got everybody sees the players. They're the ones in game. Their names are popping up. The kill feeds are rolling. They got the montages popping out, showing out all the best clips, everything that they've been doing. But there's a lot of people behind the scenes, and that's where I would like to highlight those people as well, along with the players of, there's tournament organizers who do their thing. There's everybody across the board, from designers to the people who manage the designs, who approve them, to you guys managing the players, setting up times. And there's a lot going into it than just the players showing up and shooting people in the face.
Definitely.
Definitely.
Great way to sum it up. Yes.
Yeah. As much as we would like to, like, hey, tournament's going on, it's at 12 o'clock, and then everybody shows up and does their thing. It doesn't normally go that way, does it?
It doesn't. It totally doesn't. There's a lot of preparing that has to be done before something like that happens. There's always people, you have also a personal life besides of gaming, so it's hard to set on times. A lot of discussing goes before that.
Yeah, and I imagine that there's a lot of stuff that you guys have to do in the background to make sure the players themselves are ready for matches and ready for game day, essentially. What are some of those things you guys have to do to make sure the players are ready and in their seats, ready to go?
Well, I'll start here. I think that above all, usually, especially around the top teams, most of the times the players are on time. They take care of themselves. They do the practices. But in my experience, I think it's most important for them to be prepared mentally, especially before a big match. I've had a lot of times where I had to, maybe speak to a player. I don't know, maybe he wasn't ready for the big stage. It was his first time, or maybe he just had certain doubts. And sometimes it just, it just takes talking to someone. So your players can be as well prepared in game as you can ask for. But if they're not ready mentally, not ready for the pressure of a big match, then most of that brute hard work isn't going to mean much. So, making sure the team chemistry is there. No arguments, all beefs aside, even if for 30 minutes or however long the match is. So yeah, definitely mental preparation for me, at least.
Yeah. For me as well. I have not much to add to that, but I like to do a little pep talk prior to the match, just to hype them up, just to make sure they are feeling confident going into the match. I think that's the best you could do for your players in that case.
Yeah, I agree, but we also have to think about in-game too. We can't just go all outside. I would like to tell and make sure that they know who they're going up against, the strengths and weaknesses of the other team, and our strengths and weaknesses, and what we can do to best prepare ourselves for the match.
Yes, of course.
Yeah, I mean, I guess that's why it's best to have more people in the management team. I guess this is a good moment to point this out as well. It's never good to just have one manager. Mix things up. People have different specialties, so really try to diversify your management team. Don't leave everything to one person. It's not easy either.
I totally agree with that.
Yeah.
I'm speaking from experience. When the manager gets burnt out, the passion slowly fades, and I don't think that's in any team captain's interest or general leader.
For sure not.
Mm-hmm. We also can't forget about coaches and analysts.
Of course.
How important they are to the team.
They're really important to the team.
Of course.
Yeah, I think that's a huge thing, because you've got all these different people from all different areas, and being able to keep their mind on track. Like you said, you're preparing them, giving them pep talks before the matches, and I really like the details of, you're really going up who they're going up against, right? And to where you're also giving the outside view, because I'm sure the players do their own studying across the board for the players, and also the in-game leader and stuff like that. But you guys are also helping, and the more eyes on something, a subject or a match that you're analyzing, more eyes are the better. So if someone can catch something that maybe someone else didn't. And so that will be able to help them prepare, plan, and have a strategy in place to where if they see that starting to come out in the match, they know that they can bring out, option number 2 or option number 3 for their plans and what they can do.
Right. Yeah. Couldn't have said it better.
perfect. And it's just there's so much stuff that I think a lot of people just don't realize they go into before you really start playing, instead of just leaving it up to a game of chance. And what goes into those sayings. And when it comes to like scheduling the times for these players, is there anything specific you guys have to worry about, or when getting into the schedule, or what happens when like timings and matches kind of go haywire?
This is a good question.
It's a good question. Most of the time, this is where like being organized and well-grounded kind of comes into place. It's usually best to verify with the specific tournament staff or tournament organizer before the respective day. Be pushy if needed, like recheck 10 times if needed. Because as Mandoe mentioned before, there's no guarantee that should something go wrong where the respective manager is 100% going to be there at the respective hour. There are other things besides C-Ops. So you just have to do your best and make sure that the scheduled time is the time where everything is played. But again, it also depends on the team captain.
In-game leader also.
Yeah, their capabilities of just ensuring that that everyone is ready on both sides, players and tournament staffs. But yeah, usually the top team captains, they take care of this. Take a little bit of pressure off of the managers, I guess.
Yeah, most of the time the team captain likes to schedule the match as well as tell the team. But for my scene specifically, which is North America, a lot of the players choose not to show up on time or are always late to the game, trying to do something else. I have to make sure they show up on time at least. And another thing, because I'm a tournament manager and tournament director as well, it's, I think, a bit more easy for me because I know when the match is going to be played because I was the one who scheduled the match. A little bit more useful.
Yeah, okay. Then it's going to be more easy for you. Yeah.
Yeah, you get a little bit of inside information there, being the one to, schedule those types of things. You're like, yeah, you guys should probably be available Wednesday, because we're going to announce that it's going to be Wednesday.
Right. Yeah. Of course, it also depends on the players. I remember there was one funny moment in Circuit Season 4 with Elevate EU when the staffs got upset. I think it was Xelamans who did his recording late because he was playing Clash of Clans before the game.
Oh, no.
There's some things you really can't handle. It's like, well, okay, what could I have done about that? He was pretty set on playing Clash of Clans before the game, so it is what it is.
Yeah, people play other games too. They're not just, hold to the wall, critical ops. I mean, there's variety in the mix, but I don't know, maybe don't play it. I don't know, maybe like 30 minutes before, maybe stop playing, make sure everything's looking good, just a little ahead of time.
Would be a lot better. Like,
players, if you're listening, please make our lives easy.
Exactly, yeah. Make sure you give yourself at least 10, 15, 20, 30 would probably be wonderful for everyone of a buffer, like, hey, I'm ready, and you're good to go.
Yeah.
Now, here's one of the big things that I wanted to really hit with you guys as far as being managers. Really, it comes down, one of the big things I know a lot of people want to know is how to get onto some of these teams, right? Is there like tryouts, recruiting periods, as far as, is there anything that like you're scouting out for other new potential talent for recruiting for the team? Is there anything you guys can give insight on how you guys go through that process?
Anyone want to take this one?
I'll take this one. So
all right.
Generally, I think it depends scene by scene as well, but for NA at least, we mostly do tryouts, but scouting a new player is mostly what they can do in the top major tournament. Circuit is definitely what we look at when looking for the top players. And me specifically, what I do for the team is I create a data sheet. I have a data sheet. I'm unlike a lot of managers.
You got all the good stats and everything, don't you?
I got all the statistics for the team, and I can tell the team captain who's underperforming, who's overperforming, who we should keep, who we should drop, and who we could pick up from another team.
Yeah,
interesting. That's a lot of really good data that you keep up with. Which, by all means, as a manager as a whole, as far as a title is concerned, that's honestly pretty right on par what you would expect kind of in a real life scenario, a 9 to 5 or regular job. They can check how fast you're doing stuff. There's either some kind of performance metric or something that, then you would have a conversation or have to work on with the manager, at like a real job.
Yeah. And it's also about how the way I feel the players mesh with each other. And I feel like usually friendships are a plus. Of course, it's pretty obvious the players are more likely to be loyal, if their friends are on that team. But then, of course, there are these sort of national teams, so to say, where it's like, the Finnish players, they make Tuho like 3 to 4 times a year. You can expect that. A lot of Turkish players, for example, when G9 was mostly.
Yeah, I was about to say.
Yeah, Romanian teams. There's a Romanian team now, so yeah. And of course, it's easier. Communication, very important, in-game communication. So, yeah, just the variables, and I feel like the little details that make the difference. I feel it's always important to think about, okay, this player is with me now. He trusts me now for, I don't know, let's say this community tournament, but would he trust me for circuit? It's about knowing your players as well, I guess. Loyalty is definitely like a factor and attribute I'd look for in a player, like especially nowadays.
Yeah, so where you're making sure that they're going to be here. They're going to stay with the team. There's
right.
Obviously people can jump ship. They can go to a new team, depending on what kind of, if any, contracts are signed. And it's just that it's that being able to move around, and you got to have a place where they feel safe at home, good communication, all of it combined together to really create a good place, with that. And so when you're looking at people for those, I'm assuming you're taking in not only their play style, because everybody has different positions within the team, their play style, but also who they are kind of outside the matches, I would assume, too, kind of their communication. Right. Are they toxic or not?
Yeah, that's important.
Of course, that's really important. But yeah, Garzar mostly took out words off my mouth. Like, we already discussed this yesterday. I got nothing to add to this. You basically said it all.
Yeah, overall, chemistry is incredibly important between the teams. Like, if you take a small loss and people on your team want to leave to go to the people who just beat you, that's a major issue and a major moral issue as well. It just kind of destroys the team there. So we got to pick loyal players who have good relationships within the team.
Yep.
Yeah, that's. I mean, and I know that's probably really, really hard to really take that in consideration. To where, say there's a player that's coming out as a free agent that you might want to grab, but just because they're good doesn't mean they're going to get a guaranteed spot. Just because, again, all the things that have to go into place to where they're going to be a good fit. Because if
it has to be good, a perfect fit.
Yeah, because just because they're good doesn't mean that they're going to be a good fit for your team, to where it could cause problems in game. They could be kind of trash talking their own teammates. They've got to be able to have that cool level head and not pick on anyone at any given time.
Absolutely. I mean, if you look at all the teams that did really well in Worlds this year, they were all teams that have had that were comprised of players that had a history playing each other. Rain won it all. And I have to shout out Rain here, Faultless, Vanelli. They have a lot of players that have been together, playing together with the same team name for 3 years. It's crazy to me. Evil Vision, second place as well. They have a team identity. Even Crossfire finished third place. Incredible. No one thought about it, right? But they were all Turkish. They had a team identity. They played with each other for a while. Same with Xenocide, number 4. It's not really difficult to tell what separates a great team from a good one.
Yeah, I think that's honestly perfect. I mean, because these players, they play together for quite a while, and the longer they play together, the better that they can keep it up. They know what, they don't even have to look behind them. They know who's going where on the map and everything. So it makes it a whole lot easier on the players themselves without having to actually make a plan. because they know what everybody else is capable of and what they're going to do, and it'll just follow naturally as they move through the game and what things come into place. And of course, there's the in-game leader to kind of keep that symmetry and that level-headedness, to where the players obviously, they got adrenaline rushing, they've got all their emotions and what's happening, and the in-game leader can, help keep that on track, but that still keeps everybody, you can always rely on that person, and that's that trust that they can build.
Exactly.
Yeah, exactly.
Now, this is going to be a really hard thing. I know it is, because we're talking about picking up players. So at that point, you potentially may have to get rid of a player for that person to come in. And I know that's the hard part of at what point do you know when to kind of, let someone go or drop a player to then exchange them?
I think it's for sure it's based on performance. That's a sure thing. But I think it's also based on relationship within the team. I think if someone is clashing with other players, the decision is easily made. It's also maybe the IGL, like the in-game leader. I've had this many times coming up to me like, yo, I have issues with this player, and then I have more players that have the same issue with the same player, and then the decisions are easily made. But if you really need to get rid of someone, I think it's based on tournament performance, consistency, those type of things. But it's not necessarily up to me as a manager. I think it's more up to a captain or a in-game leader, because they know most about the player.
Yeah, we really have to communicate with the captain. It's really a two-man job when managing a team there. The captain does a lot. We have to look at all the statistics for the player. And a big thing is the attitude of the player. If they can't work within the team, then they don't deserve to be in the team.
Yeah. Nothing left to say, really.
Okay, so it really comes down to mostly attitude, which makes sense, when it comes to, like, maybe they're not doing something right, or, maybe they're not able to get their crosshair, they're not getting as many kills performance-wise. That could be worked on. You can give them training regiments, or they could work on their crosshair placement or recoil control, or again, just learning maybe a map or the environment or how you guys do your plays. But if they're just being stinky, they're just being stinky, and you can't really work with them at that point.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So when it comes to that, so essentially, it really just kind of how they really come to the table with the problem or what the issue is, and if they're willing to work on it, then I'm assuming that would be fine. But if they're not really willing to work on that kind of attitude, then that's kind of where the decision is made.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I know that's probably not one of your guys' favorite things to do, and plus then you have to get another person.
Totally not.
Another person in, then you got to retrain them for your strats and skills, and it's a whole process to put someone in, and I'm sure you'd want them to work on it.
Most definitely.
Yeah, it's just because it just creates a whole other thing. Then you got to build your way back up, and I'm sure it takes a couple weeks at minimum to get someone reacclimated.
Could even take months at the time.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I guess depending on what event you may be preparing for, what the necessity of that is, which I'm assuming for circuit and something very much so like Worlds, you need your team to be pretty on point with your communication and where everybody is.
Exactly, and then if that is the case, then I don't think it's necessarily about personality or what did you say, attitude. But then we are gonna look more at like the performance or the past performance. Then it's not necessarily about attitude. We just want, at the end of the day, you want the best for your team. You want your team to be the best, and that's like really what you're seeking for.
Yeah, and just having that overall just happy time. Everybody's doing what they like to do, and hopefully at the end of the day, taking home the win, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Of course. That's what matters, right?
Yeah, because you guys are playing for something, right? There's reasons for it.
Yeah, and I mean, look, for me, Especially when I was in Elevate. When the players won, I felt like I won as well, and when they lost, I felt like I lost as well. I was really so emotionally involved into those games. And I mean, there's so much heartbreak. One of the moments that still comes to mind is when Circuit Season 4, Elevate North America loses, the 2-0 map lead.
Oh yeah,
Whoa.
I think, but yeah, I mean, that's the curse of the manager.
Yeah, I remember
the
that.
game isn't in your control. The game isn't.
It isn't. It totally isn't in your control.
I mean, for good reasons, of course. Like they wouldn't even.
I wouldn't wish to play. I wouldn't wish.
Yeah, I was managing that team at that time. It was not the best voice chat to be in, but
Right.
it's easy.
I could imagine.
Yeah, no, personally, I've done some tournaments in the past, and I'm a bit of an older school person, but back in the days of Halo 3 was my real stomping grounds, and Modern Warfare 2, I played in tournaments there, but nothing at this magnitude. I played smaller events, community stuff, and I didn't exactly win first place, so there's that. But I also didn't really have exactly a team. I had a bunch of friends of mine who I did stuff with, but again, the skills vary, and so we just did it really to do that aside. But I worked my way up. I did the other side of things instead of playing and learning to do that. I did the more analytical side of things and learning about the esports side, and eventually. For a little bit of history, I've worked in physical LAN tournaments before from a company called Iron Gaming. We traveled North America doing tournaments at events for about a year before I went off to go to university and do schooling. But, as far as me doing Halo, I helped out the COD side for the tournaments, but I mainly was like the head Halo ref. I kept scores, stats, kill stats, moving people to different stations, getting the team set up. And getting whoever moved forward back together and starting those matches and continuing the process for the guys in the back on the production side. So I've worked my way up, considering I'm not what you'd consider the best. I'm good in, maybe some public matches, depends on what server it is and who's in there. But, I can get top rank. It just kind of depends on the day in public matches. But I don't know. The pressure of being, like, say, Worlds or Circuit would just be... I can only imagine the nerves going on with the players.
I mean, it looks. At least we know who we're gonna call if like another Seahawks LAN happens.
I mean,
That's true.
I have experience doing that. In a physical setting. It's a lot. I was official too. I had a clipboard too. Making it look real good. Writing down names, writing down their kills, deaths. Giving the sheet to the guy in the back, coming back out and getting more.
Okay, well, that's the background works that makes the product, in my opinion. So
Exactly.
Yeah,
Exactly.
yeah. There's a lot of people that it takes to make the tournaments happen, and the back end. You have staff that monitor the match. Because just to make sure there's no nefarious things going on, make sure there's no toxicity, and then you got to get the screenshot of it, and then it goes to someone else who then can create graphics if it's doing it live. And then that gets created and moved forward as far as the end of the match or whatever, or promotional pieces for social media. So, and then it just gets moved around to all the different people that make everything happen.
yeah.
So it's a fun time. Now, the one thing I've been curious about as far as because I know when it comes to teams, obviously there's a lot of people working in all of this. When it comes to the winnings, especially like the bigger tournaments with bigger cash flow, I'm assuming everybody kind of gets a little bit of a cut, something along the lines of either in-game pricing or from the actual prize pool. I guess mainly because you guys can probably speak on it more directly because you are managers. I'm assuming you guys get a cut of some kind when, of course, the team does good, you do good kind of thing.
I would like to hook in on this immediately. I personally, I'm a manager. I mostly do it for the passion. I'm really passionate about managing. I do it for the experience. So for me personally, I'm not ever going to ask an individual team for a cut of their prize pool. Like, if they have their winnings, I will let it be split between the players. I won't ask for anything myself. I just do it for the experience and just for the fun of it.
Very nice.
Right. Yeah. I think like with most of the other questions and answers here, I think it all really comes down to context. For Elevate overall, sometimes you did ask for percentage of winnings. Not so much in Critical Ops, more in other games. But even in Critical Ops, it really does depend on the team. For example, the Circuit Season 4 EU team. For me, they were in the situation in Russia and Ukraine and everything, and they were playing through that. I couldn't have the heart to ask them for any percentage of anything, So I really couldn't. And yeah, most of the time, it depends whether you're doing it for passion, whether it's actually a profession you look to make something from. I know that their managers in Critical Ops definitely get earnings. Bond got something from Hammer. Phoenix got paid in Vision. Yeah, it really depends on the team, the manager, what they want, whether it's the money or whether it's the money and the passion. It really depends. But I think you have to like what you do, because as a manager, you can't expect to make for Critical Ops, let's say, right? You can't really expect to make a living out of it. So the most important
1 second, I'm
thing
gonna turn on the lights for it.
Is the passion. If there's no passion, then I don't see like why you would manage within Critical Ops.
Yeah, exactly as what you said. It really, really depends on the team. There's so many teams, so many different hierarchies in the team, and yet Critical Ops scene isn't something you're gonna make a lot of money off of, even if you're top of the line. There's a lot of issues within the scene, but they're steadily increasing the prize pools, which is good. Overall, for my management career, I've made money, lost money, blah, blah, blah. But I think if you're going into the management scene, you want to have a passion for it. You want to have a reason to do it, and you shouldn't be expecting a lot of money from the teams.
Yeah, that's exactly it.
Yeah, and I mean, overall, as we, the scene grows and everything, as a team itself, it's kind of seen as a business, right? Everybody has, there's something to be made there, and I'm assuming at some point, especially for you, Mando, as the scene grows, I'm assuming a little extra bump, a little side cash wouldn't hurt, especially again as if we can see, if we can see Critical Ops grow and keep going, we could maybe see $1 million tournament.
If there is enough money to be made, most of the tournaments have a decent or small prize pool. Like if I get a percentage of that, it will be like really, really small. Something like I can go to the McDonald's with that or something. You know what I mean?
Yeah. That's a lot of
so I won't be bothered by that. Like I prefer having the players. They played for the money they have won, so they rightfully earned it, in my opinion. So I'll just let them keep it all. Once it gets really big, like we're talking about, maybe 4 zeros, something like that, then maybe I'll ask for something. Depends on the work I've done for the team. But at this stage, at this moment, at this stage of the game, I won't.
Yeah.
Yeah, and if we could, see some bigger events, as we all know, there's other mobile games out there. Just to name a few for large quantities. Obviously, Call of Duty. There's PUBG. There's Free Fire. They have just an exorbitant amount of money when it comes to some of these events. And I think doesn't PUBG normally do an annual $1 million tournament? And so at that point, it's even if after taxes and players and all that, you got a pretty good cut you can get.
Okay, then then I get a pretty good cut. That's something I will be bothered by. But that's another story. In Critical Ops, I really can't be bothered.
Yeah. So it's just so it's really dependent on kind of where we are, because as everything rolls forward, everything grows. There's opportunity to be met, and there's opportunity to be paid, and potentially full time, but. As of now, for Critical Ops specifically, it just kind of depends on the event and all that.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. Yeah. I've been doing this for 8 years, and 8 years for free, and I still love to do it, so it is what it is.
But I mean, developers, we're open to anything. You got any,
sneaky
competitive intentions, and no complaints from me.
Maybe to, hit up somebody at, one of those bigger sports organizations, maybe some ESPN type of thing, have a big tournament, have a contact there, maybe get some televised, then that'd be looking pretty good, wouldn't it?
For sure.
Long way to go.
Definitely.
Definitely a long way to go.
Yeah, to try and get traditional, media to kind of pick up on esports, it's kind of I guess traditional media is more of a older school televised type of thing. Obviously we're doing live streams and things online, which for some reason still get looked down upon in traditional media, but where like soccer games, or I guess it'd be football for the rest of the world, or the like Super Bowl here for our football in North America. There's millions upon millions of people watching it, but yet, say like Mr. Beast puts out a video and he can just absolutely flatline these massive, sporting events as far as viewership goes, and yet it's still looked down upon as like, oh, it's an internet personality, or they're not even noticed at like a red carpet event. It's crazy.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, if the mobile gaming industry is growing every year, so it's a slow but steady path. I'd say it all depends on like whether investors, sponsors see the potential and try and get involved.
I prefer a slow phase than a no phase. So
yeah,
exactly.
Let's see.
Yeah, and the other, say on the side of the normal side of esports with PC and console, you've got MLG, ESL in these larger groups. They started somewhere. Eventually it was PC that had esports, and the console just had nothing, and then that slowly made its way throughout the years. And say like take the larger Halo tournaments, they're played strictly on console, even though you can play on PC. But all the big events that Halo hosts, it's all console.
Absolutely.
Yeah, there's a lot of stigma behind mobile gaming, but it is growing at an incredible rate every year, pulling in billions of dollars. So one day.
Yeah, it's definitely available. Yeah, the money is there, at least with as far as money flow and in-game purchases and stuff. So it needs to somehow make its way out from maybe the developers to help sponsor events, and then that also can then help bring out more people to their game. Because at the end of the day, for the developers, this is really just a big marketing piece when it comes to that, because you have the streams, you have all of the sponsors that they could potentially get to help make those events happen and really take kind of the heat off a little bit of the bank account for making those things happen. And it's all about the advertising dollar at the end of the day. So as it can grow, and more people can play, exactly. And that's going to be a big thing moving forward, is that player base. In which case, I'll hit on this later, if you guys are there in a later episode. But I think it comes also down to device standards, where you have consoles, where you have an Xbox, you have a PlayStation. Well, it's that device where on mobile, there's a lot of phones, there's lots of tablets, there's a lot of performance differences that I think need to be figured out before it can really hit its real big potential.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So I'm looking forward to that. I guess the last thing before we dip, do you guys have anything that for anyone who may future want to be a part of either managing or you're really getting a part of a team as maybe a player, is any kind of tips you can give out to anyone?
First thing, like absolute first thing I tell anyone, put your pride aside. Like if you're at the beginning, put your pride aside. You're gonna have to ask people. You're gonna have to say please. I wouldn't go as far as begging, but you're gonna have to reach out to a lot of people. You're gonna be relying on the opportunity, and just don't be afraid to show that you want it. Because if you're thinking like, no, I don't want to seem too desperate, the next guy that DMs him is gonna be just a little more desperate to get the position than you, and then look who has the job and look who doesn't. So don't be afraid to reach out. The respect, the following, and all of that, it will come eventually. But it does need to be earned. So
exactly. Work hard,
beginning.
dedicate yourself.
But
like you're gonna face a lot of rejection, but if you kind of push through, like eventually hard work gets paid off. That's what I would like to say. So just keep on grinding, keep on doing your thing. And like Garzar said, like you have to ask a lot of people. You're gonna face a lot of rejection, but just keep on trying.
And try to be unique. Like try to be unique.
Try to be unique.
Like most of the management success comes from having an innovative idea that no one has ever thought of before in the scene. Like for me, it was the content creator program for Elevate. I don't think anyone thought of doing that before having these initiatives. But of course, like that's at another level. At lower levels, of course, you can think of maybe an exciting, like before, for me, it was thinking of, okay, what's the next exciting community event I can do that no other team does? How can I attract more people to the server? And then you have these certain attributes that, team and org leaders look for. And then, you'll see that slowly people start reaching out to you, not the other way around. And it's just a natural process.
Of course, you gotta start small as well. You don't want to immediately go to the biggest team you see and ask to apply.
Exactly.
You really have to start small. So at the lowest level, if you know a team, start trying to become organized in it. Start organizing the team and grow and grow and grow. Another big part of management and esports in general is a network. Talk to as many people as you can. Get as many influences and connections as you can.
Lay connections.
Yeah, there's a lot that goes into it, but I feel like most of it you just find out as you go. So be natural about it. Don't have of course, have big dreams, but don't imagine that you're gonna reach the standards you set for yourself after a month, 2 months.
Yeah, it takes time. There's a lot of process that goes through with it, and building your way up is always great. I mean, you could be the best player, but when it comes to getting up on those larger teams, you got to have history. You got to have a track record, right? You have to be able to prove yourself, because, again, you could be the best one ever, but if no one knows how you are, who you are, and how you're going to react and what you do, people could be a little wary of it. I see that. You've got to be able to show people in a more public sense that I'm a good player, but also I can keep my cool with it, and we can all be a happy family. But again, if you're the new guy on the block, people got to take a minute to get to know you.
Absolutely.
Well, cool. Guys, thank you again for being on. This is, again, episode 1. We will continue to have more episodes, and hopefully I'll have you guys back for more discussions. We have a lot more things to really go over, not just in Critical Ops, but esports as a whole, and maybe what can be brought to either mobile esports or something that maybe hasn't even been done yet before. But it's going to be a fun time, guys. Thank you. I appreciate it.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Yeah,
thanks for having us.
For the next episode, I would love to be there.
Yeah, I might even
we're a DM away,
maybe.
1 DM away.
Awesome. Sounds good. Thank you guys so much. All right, guys, so we appreciate it. It's been a pleasure, and thank you guys at home. Thank you guys for hanging out and watching it live. We will have a more edited version with this later, so it's going to be a good time. We've got more coming for you. But until next time, I appreciate you guys hanging out and watching. Thank you so much. We'll have some more coming in the coming weeks. So hit subscribe, hit follow, whatever you're watching on, those corresponding ones. These are your masters of esports. Thank you, and I'll see you guys here on the flip side for the next one.